Creep, one of Radiohead's most well-known songs. 8 bars, 4 chords repeated throughout the entire piece. All the analyses you can find on the web about this song point out that these 2 chords are non-diatonic. And what if all the chords were diatonic instead and belonged to a specific scale? An alternative approach to analyzing one of Radiohead's most acclaimed songs. Let's start with the things there is no doubt about it. The chords progression is G, B, C, C minor. There are also suspended 4th chords, but they are just embellishments. The degrees of the chords are the tonic, the major median, the major subdominant, and the minor subdominant. The scale is G Ionian, or if you prefer, G major. So the 2 non-diatonic chords are the 3rd, the median, and the 4th, the minor subdominant. We could think that the progression belongs to some modal scale, but all major modes, Lydian, Ionian, and Mixolydian, have a minor chord built on the 3rd degree. And all modes that have a major chord on the 3rd degree have a minor chord as the tonic. Then no modal scale includes both the major and minor version of the same scale degree, such as the 4th major and 4th minor. So no doubt, the 3rd major and the 4th minor are diatonic chords. The next question is, what are the functions? Well, the major 3rd have the function of a secondary dominant. It's necessary to explain this, as it is not so simple. Let's look at the circle of fifths. When we talk about a secondary dominant, we think of the 5th degree. Whatever the starting key, you can get the secondary dominant of the chord 5 minutes clockwise. For the C chord, the secondary dominant is G major, or G major 7. But it's not the only one. As I explained in my video number 4 about the circle of fifths, there is another chord that has a dominant function in a scale. The 7th degree, that in our case is B major chord. Secondary means it's not part of the main key. Remember, we are in G Ionian in Creep, but we have to think as if we are in C Ionian. Dominant refers to a chord that has a dominant function. So, instead of the 3rd major, we could write 7th of 4th. And what about the 4th minor? Since the chord is the last one of the phrase, it creates a cadence with the following chord to connect the 2 phrases. 4th, first, creates Deceptive Cadence. 4th minor, first, creates Deceptive MInor Cadence. The cadence creates a loop for the song. Now let's return to the main question. What if all the chords were diatonic and belonged to a specific scale? First of all, we need to get the notes of the scale. So, let's take the chords and get their notes. The G chord is made up of the notes G, B, and D. The B chord is made up of the notes G, E flat, and G flat. The C chord is made up of the notes C, E, and G. The C minor chord is made up of the notes C, E flat, and G. Great, we get a 7-note scale and it sounds like this. The next step is to do the harmonization using triads. Let's fastly recap what is a triad. A triad is a 3-note chord consisting of root, the starting note of the chord, 3rd, a note 3rd above the root, 5th, a note 5th above the root. The interval between the root and the 3rd can be a minor 3rd or a major 3rd. The interval between the 3rd and the 5th can be a minor 3rd or a major 3rd as well. So, 3rd minor, we get a diminished chord. 3rd minor, 3rd major, we get a minor chord. 3rd major, 3rd minor, we get a major chord. 3rd major, we get an augmented chord. So, how can we get triads? In this case, it's not so easy, but looking at the circle of fifths, the process is not too difficult. In my video number 7 about the circle of fifths, I explained that in order to get a 3rd major interval, you have to move 20 minutes clockwise, and to get a 3rd minor interval, you have to move 15 minutes counterclockwise. So let's harmonize the creep scale. Starting from G, 15 minutes counterclockwise, we get B flat, that doesn't belong to the scale. So there are not a G diminished chord or a G minor chord. Starting from G, 20 minutes clockwise, we get the B, that belong to the scale. So we can go on. Starting from B, 15 minutes counterclockwise, we get D, that belongs to the scale. We have a third major and a third minor. We get the G major chord. Starting from B, 20 minutes counterclockwise, we get E flat, that belongs to the scale. Third major and the third major, we get the G augmented chord. Starting from D, 15 minutes counterclockwise, we get F, that doesn't belong to the scale. Starting from D, 20 minutes clockwise, we get G flat, that belong to the scale. But 15 minutes counterclockwise, we get A, that doesn't belong to the scale. And 20 minutes clockwise, we get B flat, that doesn't belong to the scale too. So there is no D chord. So far, so forth. We have 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, 1 diminished chord as any other modal scale, and 3 augmented chords. Actually, E flat augmented, G augmented and B augmented have the same notes, so they can be considered as the same chords. How do the new chords sound together? This is a basic progression. C minor and C diminished to create a good level of tension from a new loop. Okay, this is a well-known song. Let me know in the comment. We can also improvise a blues, introduce this variation with the G augmented and C minor. Or we can do a more complex progression and movement. So, what we have learned? Lesson number 1. The creep scale does not exist. The melody of creep uses the note that belong to the G Ionian scale, and not to the scale that we are called creep scale. But this is the lesson number 2. The road to nowhere does not exist too. Music has rules that we need to know, but we shouldn't give up on experimenting, even by following routes that seems to lead nowhere. Even if there is no creep scale, now we have a new scale and its harmonization. B is a secondary dominant. Fourth minor is a Deceptive MInor Cadence. But why are these chords used? I think that in creep they wanted to create a looping piece with a specific harmonic movement. Tension, more tension, introduction of release, complete release. And to do that they identified the necessary chords. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye!